I remember. So, okay, we're live. Seth, tell us about Cockfighter and why you chose it.
The Cockfighter is 1974, Warren Oates. It's one of the two movies that Warren Oates is the lead in, but probably the only movie that I've ever seen where the lead has one line. I can't remember what Harry Dean Stanton was also in this movie, how many lines he has in Paris, Texas. But I think Warren Oates has one line. She loves me.
No.
At the end of the movie.
The flashback.
Can you explain? Yeah, it's in the very beginning. But can you explain why he only has one line and he's the lead? How does that work?
Okay, so Warren Oates, who's the lead in this, is a cockfighter, which we'll get into. He trains game birds in the South, and he lost his title, and he's taken a vow of silence that until he regains the title as the best cocksman in the South, he will not utter a word. So, although in Wikipedia it says
I have to make a quick just a quick what's the word here I'm looking for?
Trigger
adjustment. Adjustment to what you're saying.
Yeah.
He literally there's a scene after he lost a cockfight to one of the longstanding rival in this film. It was before the official Derby was supposed to happen. So this is a
unofficial fight.
Yeah, it's an unofficial fight, and it's a flashback that takes place early on in the movie, which explains why he's not talking. Where, Harry Dean Stanton's character says to him, you just talk too much. And it's like, that's sort of the poetry of the whole thing. And it's like, because he's very braggadocious and all that kind of stuff. And
he drinks too much.
And he loses all his money before the Derby even starts because he's bragging so much and he's egging this guy on. And I don't remember if it was Harry Dean Stanton or the other guy, but he's like, you talk too much. And that was like what set him off. And that's what made him decide, well, I'm not talking anymore until I win.
But also drinking too, because he just was drinking like orange juice and Dr. Peppers during the movie. He also stopped drinking as well.
Oh, I didn't notice that. That's interesting.
Yeah. Also, can I just say one thing about this? To me, it was the 70s. And in the 70s, like, it seemed to me that men just made a choice without thinking about it, but they had conviction that they stuck to that choice no matter what, as selfish or stupid or quirky as it was. And that loyalty to that conviction somehow is supposed to mean something. That's what the 70s seems to me. And this movie did exemplify that.
What, masculine stubbornness?
Yes. And it was kind of cool to see the main character.
It's about the conflict between will and love.
I guess, but it was just kind of interesting how the main character doesn't have any lines. There's one flashback where he has a couple lines and then he has one line in the end. But just like anybody ever see Ryan's Daughter? John Mills won Best Supporting Actor for that. He had 0 lines. No, I think he was just nominated. He didn't win, but still, and it happened. It's like Holly Hunter didn't have any lines, and she won Best Actress for The Piano in '93. So there's that. There's that too. But this movie cost $400,000, the budget. In today's money, that's $2.3 million. And it didn't make any money. And then Roger Corman, the B-movie genius he is, recut the movie and released it as like, we're going to kill you, or some other catchier title.
It's called Born to Kill.
All right, yeah, let's let Seth go back to his, because I wanted to finish hearing his introduction.
Apologies.
I also want to know why you chose this film, and give us a brief overview, because this is not a film that you can really spoil. So just kind of tell us what happens in this film.
It's a movie about gambling, and by the end of it, Warren Oates has lost his trailer home, all his money, his stock of chickens, and his girlfriend.
To
to gambling.
He willingly gives her away, actually.
He gives her away with the trailer in the beginning of the movie. And that's played by Laurie Bird, whose last name is actually Bird, who was involved with Art Garfunkel and Monty Hellman, the director. And
Nice.
she took an overdose of Valium in Art Garfunkel's apartment, and unfortunately didn't live to see 1979, I think.
Wow, that's tragic.
Wow.
Yeah. Also in this is Harry Dean Stanton, who did several movies with Warren Oates.
And was in the last film that we reviewed.
Yeah. Who's also a Marine. Warren Oates was a Marine. Ed Begley Jr., I think it was one of his first roles is in this. The guy from what's the guy from Stuntman and Helter Skelter?
Steve Railsback.
Steve Railsback is in this. Troy Donahue
got nominated.
He got nominated for what? For Helter Skelter?
For the Stuntman 1980.
For the Stuntman.
With Peter O'Toole. They both lost to Robert De Niro.
Hellman, but I didn't remember that. With Madeline. We were meeting Alex Cox, and Monty Hellman was sitting next to us. And Monty Hellman is supposedly, in a lot of reviews online, the best unknown director of the 70s. And this was his third collaboration and last collaboration with Roger Corman, because Roger Corman found out that Monty Hellman didn't want to do any scenes with actual cockfighting in it. He just wanted to make a documentary of the characters. And so another guy was brought in, and all the blood you see is from another cut, and it's ketchup. So
I find that very hard to believe. Some of these cockfighting scenes look so brutal. They literally
they don't bleed much. Evidently,
okay, they're actually fighting.
They are fighting, but Monty Hellman didn't shoot that.
I mean, chickens don't bleed. No, chickens don't bleed them like that much.
Yeah, they're covered in ketchup.
No, I know. I understand what you're saying. But like a lot of people might hear that and think, oh, this wasn't a very brutal film. Oh, these animals were actually treated well because they used ketchup. What I'm saying is that there's no flipping way that these chickens, that this wasn't real. These were real cockfights. This was real violence. This was like
right. But what I'm saying is Monty Hellman didn't shoot that.
Oh, I believe. Okay, fine. Who shot it?
He might not.
They brought in another photographer.
The guy named Davidson was brought in to
as a director or a photographer.
He was the producer, a second unit producer who was brought in, and then it was re-edited again. It was released 3 times by Joe Dante.
Okay, well, when you say re-edited, there was new photography being done, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they needed the new so you're saying Monty Hellman was unwilling to shoot these violent cockfighting scenes. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody else, another producer came in, and I guess ostensibly another director of photography, and another maybe even different cinematographer.
Cut that was released.
But they didn't even need an audio crew for the cockfighting scenes. That was old dub stuff.
That's fine. That's fine. But I think what I'm trying to get across is just how like visually stunning and disturbing and shocking and masterful the fight scenes were. There's these incredible close-ups.
Yeah.
It's just not like it's like watching a fucked up nature show, but like in the 70s, like with incredible like precision. I mean, there's slow motion cockfight. I mean, it's crazy. It's like watching a Bruce Lee movie, but instead of people, it's chickens.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of.
Like I watched it a second time. You'll see that like it's people's feet and pants in the cockfights. So it's not Warren Oates and the other cockfighters in those cuts, but they are holding the chickens, and they're definitely like getting the chickens riled up. And Warren Oates does cut the head off of one chicken.
And all those, there's other dead chickens. There's a tub of dead chickens. There's a bin of dead chickens.
An actual Georgia cockfighting place. It was illegal in all but 3 states at the time they shot the movie.
Yeah, that's something like the audience should know.
Yeah.
I like if you're an animal rights activist,
You don't want to watch this movie.
This is a very disturbing film.
Or a vegan.
Yeah.
Vegans and animal rights people don't.
None of you guys are vegan, right?
No.
Okay, good.
I believe in Jesus Christ.
Good for you. That makes I don't know how many of us.
My personal Lord and Savior. I just like to say that to freak people out, honestly.
Why would that freak people out? America is a Christian country.
If you want to get somebody away from you on the street, just ask them if they believe in Jesus Christ. And
that's only in parts of Manhattan. That's only in parts of Manhattan. Most of this country, people will be quite happy with that. I just want to quickly
anyone who's in the locations that they shot this movie is going to have no problem with Jesus Christ.
Absolutely not.
They love Jesus.
Listen, this film is one of the most violent against animal films I've ever seen. But what people should understand is that, okay, I went down the rabbit hole researching cockfighting. It has been illegal in pretty much all of the United States for several decades now. And as Seth pointed out, it was mostly illegal everywhere in the United States when they shot this. So it was almost like this film was like kind of like the last hurrah, showing what the world of cockfighting was like. I mean, this was sort of an authentic depiction of what like the industry was like at that time. But cockfighting is it's like an ancient sport. And these birds, they're a specific type of bird that were bred for this kind of activity. These birds they're naturally aggressive, and for thousands of years have been used specifically for this activity. So I don't know. I'd like to hear from defenders of cockfighting, because maybe there is some sort of defense. No, I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not. Sean.
Really? Okay, you think people do really? Okay.
No, I'm not being sarcastic, because listen, what do you do? Like, what do you do when an animal's been like? Is it cruel if the animal it's like genetically predisposed to this type of behavior? This is what they do. This is how they've been for generation after generation. Maybe there's an argument to be made that this is their natural behavior at this point. And in some limited form or fashion, it's acceptable. I don't know. I'm not making that case. But I know that a lot of people are trying to make that case.
These are roosters, right? They weren't chickens.
They're roosters. Yeah.
Roosters.
So the roosters chickens don't lay eggs.
But
so I guess that would make it.
Yes, but they all have mothers, and so the gene there must be some kind of a female cockfighter mother type.
Yeah, there's a hen.
A cockfighting hen thing.
You see them in the movie. There's a scene where he's got the red and white first chicken. I actually remember. Was it Sandspur? And he puts them on the ground.
Where he's carved in the beak.
Guys, give me a second. I have to step out for 1 second. Keep it going.
Okay. So he's got Sandspur, and he puts them on the ground, and there's a bunch of other chickens with chicks. So they breed them to hens for aggression.
I see Abrams' point, but I'm curious about Judy, because at least for me, Judy, let me let you know, during those cockfighting scenes, I guess they were shot well, but I just looked away, and there was a lot of those cockfighting scenes. The movie's only 83 minutes, but there's like 20 minutes of cockfighting. So I just want to see your take on it, because it kind of hurt my eyes.
Yeah. Well, first off, I just want some technical stuff that I mentioned to you guys. For viewers, if you are intrigued and want to check out this film, do not go to Prime, because the quality is like third generation. It looks like a VHS video of a VHS copy, and it is so bad that I actually got mad and was like, I'm gonna kill Seth for picking this movie.
Why didn't you go directly to Tubi, since it's already free there?
Because it was free on Prime.
Oh, I got you.
I didn't pay for it on Prime, so I just went to Prime. I was like, oh, there's no commercials, great, I'll just watch it through. But it was just so bad. It was like the TV version. So anyway,
Yeah.
so if you do want to check it out, don't go to Amazon Prime, even though it's free there.
Tubi.
Go to Tubi or
Always.
go to it was on Plex as well, for free. Yeah, I was just kind of like bothered by it, and it was one of those things where I was like watching, but like not totally watching, and I was just going, "Is this real?" Because they kept showing those little leg, like they put like little spikes or knives or I don't know, like these hooks on their feet. And I was like, well, is that okay? Because that's not natural, for that they might be fighters, but like, that's like putting in like a knife in our thing. And I'm going to punch you and win, but it's not natural. So I was wondering like, well, I guess part of my brain was going, how did they film this? Because it looks very real. And I was just thinking like I would, and this might be like my sixth sense of humor. I was like, I just want to get like a bunch of like vegans and animal rights people in a room and watch this and just see what happens. Maybe I'm just like sick and twisted, but like
No, I'd love to see that.
I just want to be the fly on the wall in that space. Just for like a minute. I don't want to like hurt anybody.
Well, you know what we can do is there are actually these reaction videos. I saw one about
Edmund. Really?
There's several about Edmund. So if people want to like send in them they like watch making their girlfriend or boyfriend or significant other or kids, not kids probably.
No.
But watching Cockfighter at the same time and just film their reactions, edit it, and then we'll put up the links.
Yeah, I had more of a reaction when I watched it on Amazon Prime, and I was like, "What is this? I can't even see it. Like, how this looks like a student film."
Yeah, I told you that there used to be
so bad. You should just go look at it just to see how bad.
No, I've seen it because I had a DVD of that version because someone cut and pasted the eBay ad from the one that Abram has in his possession right now of the collector's edition, which has a great director's commentary and the only Warren Oates documentary I've ever seen on it. But people would sell that.
The only one there is
about that, Sean.
Just to be like the only
of Corey and Corey.
No, the only documentary that exists of Warren Oates is the one that you saw. Don't be. You said it's like the only Warren Oates documentary I saw. Well, there's only one.
Yeah. What's the point?
Sorry, man. Okay,
so
Seth.
Now on the.
No, it's all right. Seth, my version, I saw it on Tubi. It didn't even have closed captioning because I didn't know what the hell they were saying. The audio was all weird, but no closed captioning for that one. And also, Seth, I thought we had a mutual understanding about forcing the other to watch, like we have a power in this dynamic. Like I could force you to watch a movie I want you to watch, and you have to watch it.
Bad movies. You hold the record.
You've actually forced. You forced us to watch movies.
Some of the highest ratings by film historians of any movie we've done.
6 people. Okay, this movie has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. 6 viewers.
Film historians.
Well, let me make a case here. Listen, cockfighting is a very fascinating subject. Again, it's older than dog fighting. It's older than almost any kind of yeah, it's definitely older than bullfighting. Yeah. Much older than bullfighting. It goes back possibly 5,000 or 6,000 years. So this is an art form. This is a form of entertainment that goes back to biblical times. Okay, so it just as a film of historical influence, I'm not aware of any other movie that deals with this subject matter. So just the fact that it was done, and I can't imagine a better narrative film about this. Like, it's a perfect film. I mean, for a subject like this, I can understand, like, Sean, if you don't like the subject matter
Sean
and you find
like
it
movies. Let's just say find it, but it's been going on for 4 weeks now. Sean
but like, this is, even if you don't enjoy sitting through this film, you cannot deny that this is an important historical, like, piece of historical filmmaking. Like, nothing like this has ever been done before. It had never been done before this, and it's never been done since. Nobody's ever touched this subject matter. But the thing is, you could probably make a number of great films. I take back what I said before. You could probably make a number of very interesting films about cockfighting because it's a fascinating subject. It's just it's like any kind of crime people love crime films or films about degenerates doing degenerate shit. This is a great film about degenerates. If you like gangster movies, if you like hillbilly movies, like if you like Deliverance, like this is
anti-hero. Classic, kind of anti-hero.
Yes, Judy. If you like an anti-hero film, this is.
If you like The Apostle, you like this movie.
Yeah, I mean, this movie has so much. It is, but it's something that I think other cultures can relate to as well, because cockfighting is pretty much it doesn't exist anymore in America, but there's still places in outside of the United States where cockfighting is still legal. So and actually it's mostly illegal everywhere in the world, but certain governments have made it have allowed for it in certain provinces within their nations where it has a historical, cultural, generational, unbroken tradition. So I forget like the last country in Europe, there's one country left in Europe where it's still legal within a certain province, and that's in Spain. I forget exactly where in Spain, but it's a very small part of Spain. No surprise. No, it's not in the Basque region. No. It's not in the Basque region. It's I think it's. Really? That's the only region. Well, I'm not going to say. I was going to say that's one of the non-Spanish regions of Spain. You don't know Andalusia, you don't know Catalonia, you don't know.
I know Jesus Christ as my personal Lord and Savior.
Okay.
Huge in Spain. I know the guitars. I'm more of a
Picasso Spanish. I play the guitars.
Picasso was on the French border, I think. Yeah. But he's both. I understand. Yeah, it is American, and Cockfighter from 1974. It is kind of cool because Warren Oates only did star twice, and Harry Dean Stanton only starred once. And I guess it was just so American. It's such a guy's movie. I'm glad it was short.
Yes.
Actually, Sean, that's a good double feature. It's Paris, Texas, with Cockfighter.
And Cockfighter. Yeah. I mean, I just like looking at all those old white men.
What's the first film you said?
Paris, Texas. Harry Dean Stanton wandering around. He doesn't have any lines either, right? For most of the movie.
I mean, I don't know. He
Sam
wakes up with
Shepard's
amnesia.
Is it a cowboy film?
No, it's like he crawls out of the ground and like wandering around.
Let me explain.
Yeah.
Harry Dean Stanton wakes up with amnesia, and he looks in his recent area. It's in Texas. It's Navajo. He eventually has lines, but it's also known as the slowest script ever, directed by Wim Wenders.
Hoff.
Or Vim.
Oh.
Wim
takes place in a tub.
An ice bath.
In Texas.
But it's like that, and that's cool. It's just this old white men. It's just this movie is two old white men for
Sounds
too
terrible.
old white menish for me.
I'm for some reason
when he lost the trailer in the beginning.
It makes me think of Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. They're not in this.
They could have been just a couple.
No,
lines.
but Burgess Meredith is in 92 in the Shade with Warren Oates. And I think
nice.
That's Marky Hellman too.
Yeah.
So, and he's in
Grumpy Old Men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will get back to the film and say that I did appreciate, from a storytelling aspect, that they really kept the storyline simple. It was a little too simple for me, but I appreciate. So I do sometimes get bored in drama films, right? This is just me personally speaking.
Bored with what? Sorry.
With drama movies that are
okay.
dramas, because dramas they're very much character based, but the stories sometimes are very simple. I don't know. It's just I like horror, but so sometimes it's a little slow for me. This one felt a little bit slow, but I did like that the overall character development they kept going. So there was no like everybody was very real. And so I found myself going from in the beginning of the movie, fucking hating it. Sorry, am I allowed to curse? I hate this movie. I hate this movie. I'm almost mad. I'm glad I didn't have to pay for it. Now I feel a little bit bad that Sean had to pay for zombies. But then I was like watching it, and then I was like, oh, it's interesting. The music is great.
Amazing, yeah.
It's fun. It really takes you to like a time and place. It's a very nostalgic movie. I wasn't around in the 70s, but it it has a really good 70s vibe to it. But then I found myself sort of at the end when the movie was ending, right at the moment that it ended, I almost was like, oh, I want more. Like, I want to know what happens next. So I was sort of like annoyed that they ended it there, but I was like, oh, it makes sense. So it was just something that I appreciated the simplicity to it. And I think that that's something that's lost in modern day Hollywood movies, is that everything is like so like big and bold and exciting and like overdone and overtold, like they overcompensate. And this is just like a classic, simple film.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
So,
I think
It was in the book,
a lot of
in the book.
70s a lot of 70s filmmaking, like I don't know why I just thought of it, but I mean, if you take like a film like Chinatown, it seems very convoluted with like it's one of those films where it seems like there's so much going on. I'm trying to think of a film that came out right around the same time that was a big hit, but it's still sort of like just a mundane story about a couple of people whose lives intersect.
yeah.
You know?
It's almost
Yeah,
like there's
in
been
the-
this switch from simple stories with really awesome characters to really complicated stories and like almost like cut out placeholder, gotta hit every box on the gender color spectrum
Sure.
to fill in the movie. Sorry, I'm just being honest.
No, it's
With
true.
modern, I'm talking about modern day. It's like you have to fill all the boxes and you have to talk about all the things, and like they lose the realness of people and cultures. Like not every culture is like a
But
hodgepodge
like,
of different.
if you actually break down the plot of this movie, a lot of very interesting. It's like one interesting thing after the other.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think.
the house on the trailer. I was
Yeah.
like, do
Yeah.
they really do that still? My husband was like, yes, they could still
They
do
still
that.
do that. Yeah. You see
Do
those
what?
Jersey turnpikes sometimes. The
When they
big,
put the
ugly,
house-
portable houses.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was an unnecessary thing, but it's just so like, the details are incredible in this movie.
Yeah.
Another thing is like when he like we mentioned it before briefly, when he when he loses the bet early on, which we find out was the second time he lost a bet with the same against the same guy. To Harry Dean Stanton, and he loses his trailer and all of his basically his belongings. His girlfriend still wants to go with him, and with basic just sign language, he indicates to her that she's going to go with him now because he lost, and he's got no emotion about it. He's not sad.
like this, and then like this.
Yeah, he goes like this
And
like
Harry
that.
Harry
Dean
Stanton's
Stanton
like,
is
I have a-
mortified. He's like shocked. Like that's the thing. Like the Harry Dean Stanton character, like he's a decent guy. He's just like these are decent folk. They're not. This is not a movie about total scumbags. It's just not. If you may think that the subject matter is degenerate. Just because there's people hanging out at a card game and gambling doesn't mean that they're all sicko degenerates. They're just gambling and playing cards. The same thing in this film. You may think that cockfighting is like this really horrible thing, but it's like a long-standing tradition with these people. They're not bad people. They're all kind of decent. There's not a character in this film where you're like, oh, that person's an evil son of a bitch, really, which also makes it kind of interesting. But it and then the scene where Harry Dean Stanton doesn't want to take this woman on, but then he ends up taking her on and pretty enthusiastically makes her his girlfriend. And then there's a scene where she attacks
Yeah.
Warren Oates after, and it's not clear. It wasn't clear to me that it was her. I thought maybe it was his long-standing, the other girl, but I got it pretty quickly. But yeah, I mean, she attacks him because she's still angry.
Realize that was her.
That was her. She attacks him because she's still angry that he left her, like just.
She's also wearing a fully fire engine red outfit, like literally from head to toe.
Yes.
Like every part.
It reminds me of a certain country singer that we know, Abram. That outfit.
Oh yes, except not the color.
not the color, but the outfit. Was it
Yes.
a jumpsuit? Jumpsuit,
Oh,
right?
it's like a Western onesie. I don't know I don't know.
Yeah, this movie was based off a novel, and in the novel, the ending's different. He gets
What
together
happens
with
in the
chick
novel?
in the end. Warren Oates gets together with the chick in the end.
Well, I think that the movie suggests that they might get together.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the last line he says? He says, "Yeah, she loves me.
She loves
me," and then it turns out that. But also, Warren Oates was a country music singer, songwriter. He wasn't a star, but he sang country music, too. So that was in the book, but they cut that out for the movie. But you still see Warren Oates strumming a guitar, and that's kind of cool because if the more he doesn't talk, the more you're kind of interested in what he has to say. But at the same time, all the characters he meets already know him, which I think is kind of a bit of a cop out. But one of the guys is James Earl Jones' dad.
Wait. Back up. Why is it a cop out that everybody in the film that he encounters already knows him? Explain that.
All right. Well, all right. I'll answer it because I would like to have seen a character where Warren Oates had to interact with somebody who doesn't know about his past, and therefore he's
good. All right, Sean. Is Chekhov a cop out when he does a play about a family that all know each other? Is that a cop out?
No,
because you would have liked to see the uncle meet somebody new that I don't understand you, Sean. I don't understand.
I could explain because then it'll just, then he's forced to see what more he sacrificed by.
He does encounter somebody new. He does encounter somebody new too. So you're wrong. The Ed Begley character.
I was just wanted to talk about him.
Yeah, the Ed Begley character who they get into a big.
Okay, all right. No, but it
that
just
wasn't
seems to me. I just wanted to character. No, if you want me to answer it, I just want to see you answer it.
Let me tell you about it. Let me tell you guys about an arbitrary thing that this film doesn't do. No, stop. I want to tell you guys about an arbitrary thing that this film doesn't do that I think it should do. But wait a minute, it actually does do it, but it still sucks.
No, let me answer the question. No, let me. Okay.
I know Judy's been in a situation. You ever been in a writer's group where someone tells you how to write your screenplay, and it's totally not the way you want your screenplay, but they tell you how it would be better. It'd be better if Darth Vader wasn't Luke's father. He's like,
first of all,
it's like, thank you for that excellent feedback.
What if the stormtroopers were in white and in black, and Darth Vader was in white?
Yeah, it'd be much better that way. Or green.
I'm gonna start singing. All right. My point is to answer your question is that I wanted a character to question Warren Oates' decision to have a vow of silence because of the cockfighting fiasco. I just wanted somebody to really call out Warren Oates and say, being mute for this reason is stupid. And then
he does.
They do that.
The other guy, what's his name? The
guy that he's training with? Is that the guy who says it?
The Polish guy.
No, who's the guy who's who's the guy who's discouraging him in the flashback, who's discouraging him from doing this bet before the Derby starts?
Harry Dean Stanton.
No, Harry Dean Stanton is the guy that he goes to buy
another guy.
Is it the older guy that he goes to buy?
And I feel for this quote unquote older guy, we should know his name. Let me look.
No, it's
this
the guy
up.
who says like my wife doesn't want me doing it anymore, so I'm not going to sell it to you, but come back.
Yes, that's the one I'm talking about. Exactly.
Yeah, he's the guy that tries to talk him out of it.
Yeah. Everything that you're complaining about not being in this film, which would honestly, the film would still be great if it wasn't, is actually in the film.
Yeah. Well, that older man, which you can find.
No, because they all mumble. And I wanted to. They were mumbling.
Oh, it's because they mumble now. I'm part of New Jersey that you come from. Mumble too.
They're mumbling. They're mumbling.
Wait, what? I'm sorry. Maybe I don't know. What state is this taking place in?
Okay, so it's in Georgia. It's in Georgia, except in the book it's Florida. But it's Georgia. They actually shot at a Georgia farm that did cockfights that was still legal in Georgia at the time. Yeah. And one of the extras was Jimmy Carter, but he stayed out of the limelight, and they premiered it at the governor's mansion, and him and Rosalind Carter, who were governor and first lady of Georgia, came to the premiere. The premiere was actually a really big deal, and that was the month Helmut
scandal. Died. That would get you out of office today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You'd be like, never again. You'd have to apologize for like 25 years.
Jimmy Carter also says he believes in UFOs. But there's that. But no, that was the answer to my question.
They exist. They've been UFOs have been documented numerous times. It's not a matter of whether we.
Obama doesn't admit to it. He's
lying.
Who cares if he admits or not? UFOs exist. What they are is up for debate. We can talk about that's a completely different subject for a completely different kind of podcast. Right. But
but I do appreciate the film's westernness. It reminded me a lot of Tender Mercies, which is a film I also like. That was 9 years after this, but it still looked the same, which I kind of think is.
Do we know what this was shot on? Was it shot on 35?
It looked like 8mm. It looked like 8mm or 16mm.
It looks really beautiful. Like
it was one of those small Bolex cameras. They used one of those because they did a lot of weirdness with the sound, and they did a lot of ADR. Also, Warren Oates didn't speak, so it was kind of easier to shot. You didn't need that much of a crew. The location manager, whoever that is fantastic because I love these locations. Second, the film editor is Louis Teague, who directed V for Vendetta. I thought that was a little weird. Yeah, I thought that unless they're different. Louis Teague.
This is one of the editors because Joe Dante was brought in, and that guy Davison was brought. Like
I do kind of like this type of film, even though I don't like cockfighting and all this other shit. But I do like these types of movies because they were made by people like Roger Corman and other ones who self-funded their stuff. And then they put it together, and then they would sell it to drive-ins. And then drive-ins would play these basically all night long. And Roger Corman invented the monster feature, which I always appreciated, and just that type of cinema, I just always kind of dig. It reminds me of
Roger Corman film that has its birthday today. You know what birthday? Battle Beyond the Stars is, I think, 27 years old today. This ridiculous remake of Magnificent Seven that he made in space.
Guys, I was just looking it up. I believe the gentleman that I was trying to remember before, the character's name was Ed Middleton, and the actor was Charles Willeford. He was actually the guy with the big mustache, the walrus mustache, right? Yeah. He didn't act very much. He was actually mostly a writer of somewhat great renown from what I can see on IDBM. So shout out to him.
The writer of this screenplay is also the novelist, whose name escapes me right now, and he wrote Miami Blues, which is
Charles Willeford.
Charles
wrote this.
Okay, so Charles. Okay, so the writer. So that was the writer of the novel.
Yes,
was Charles Willeford. Okay, that was the guy who played. Ed Middleton. Yes,
he was in the beginning, and then he was like in the beginning,
and he was in the act. Yeah, he was in the end as I think he was judging the Derby at the end. Correct.
Right. Yeah, he was the one who sold him or gave him White's Lightning.
Yes, that was the actor. I mean, that was the writer of the novel you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. And he wrote Miami Blues. He wrote a bunch of stuff. I'm looking on IMDb.
Mostly detective.
Also, James Dickey wrote the novel and screenplay to Deliverance 2 years prior, and he played the sheriff in that movie too. So I guess it was a thing. If you get your novel adapted, you get a little role in the movie.
Well, I mean, why not, right?
Yeah, that's
like,
a good point.
why not throw the can if you're gonna get your novel optioned? If somebody's coming to you for it, because Seth, what happened to you, man?
I'm back.
Okay,
Even art.
so Seth mentioned that was it Corman who decided to make this film when he saw the novel in an airport?
The story is he went to an airport and he saw the novel and he saw the cover and he's like, I don't need to read this. I'm just going to buy the rights to the novel and the movie. Because if we can't sell this with the title alone, we're doing something wrong. And that bit him in the ass, I guess. Because he had to release it 3 more times.
It's all good. It's still, in my view, it's still a masterpiece. Anybody have? Go ahead.
I did appreciate
if you go down the rabbit hole, which Isaac did, of cockfighting, you'll find a Vice article.
Isaac is Abram, by the way.
Abram, sorry.
Go ahead. You go down the rabbit hole.
I'm pausing so the audience's laugh can die out, so they can hear me.
Hold on.
Like I was cockfighting glass. Because they're laughing with you. Okay, now it's dying down. Okay, so there's a Vice article, and basically the guy goes, so one of the main reasons that cockfighting is illegal is because of the degenerates who go to the cockfights. Like that's one of the main reasons. I think
you're right. I think it's twofold. The amount of illegal activity that gets conducted at these things, number one, and number two, the difficulty that the government would have monetizing off of it.
Right.
Either because of public outrage or because there's just not that. It's not that easy to make how they regulate it.
The guy makes a great comment. He goes, first of all, aren't there a lot of legal activities that a lot of scummy people like attend and gamble on that are being ignored that should fall under the cover of this ruling? And second of all, when did America start caring so much about chickens? Like you let them lay eggs until they die in a factory farm. I don't get when like
I agree. I think that we do much more inhumane things to chickens than cockfighting.
Right.
When we cram them into these,
There's also one thing they make a stew, they say, out of one of the chickens, the one that Warren Oates kills. Evidently, according to the internet, you can't even do that anymore because the cockfighters inject them with hormones. So they'll be bigger, stronger, and more aggressive. So they fill them with testosterone. So were you to stew one of these, I guess you'd get man boobs and your peenie would get tiny.
Oh, that reminds me. I got one thing before we go to closing arguments here because we got to wrap it up. But if you guys are interested in another animal humanity crisis type of situation, watch the movie Pink Flamingos and then try to find the interview where John Waters justifies what he did with chickens in that film. Because there is that interview, and it's actually quite hilarious if you can find it. But yeah, I have nothing more. I think this is a great film, and everybody should see it. And it's
just not on Amazon Prime. Sorry.
Just not on.
I hope we don't get flagged for
not on Amazon Prime. No, Amazon Prime is great for a lot of things. It's not great for this film. No. This film you can watch it for free on Tubi with commercial breaks, which you might need anyway. So
yeah, what's
wrong? It's only 84 minutes, I think.
Well, no, I said you might need to take a break every 20 minutes when you watch this film.
Yeah, so you can take
especially if you're squeamish. But that's all I got, Sean. And you got any closing remarks?
Yes, I do. Watch Tender Mercies instead. Billy Bob Thornton's favorite actor is Warren Oates. The other film Warren Oates starred in is Sam Peckinpah's Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. Watch that movie instead of Cockfighter. Even though Cockfighter has a lot of nostalgia, you're going to find yourself wincing away. You're not going to understand old white men's conviction on deciding things arbitrarily and then betting their whole life on it, and somehow it's supposed to make sense in the end. Thank you.
It wasn't arbitrary, but that's fine anyway.
Racist statement.
All right, Judy, what do you have for our
I
closing?
think I said mine
Yeah,
already.
you said yours.
Yeah.
I recommend eating this with chicken meatballs.
Watching it while eating chicken
Get a
meatballs.
big
marinara
tub of
sauce.
fried chicken and just
Fried
Yeah.
chicken. Yeah, I was gonna get a bucket of chicken, but I didn't want to eat that.
Popeye's not KFC.
KFC
because-
probably has as much hormones, estrogen, as a
No,
Gamecock
because
has.
Louisiana. Just shout out to Louisiana. I bet that if there's one state left where you could actually watch a cockfight, it's somewhere in the bayou.
Louisiana, baby.
Louisiana was the last
Shout out to
state.
New Orleans.
That was the last state to make it illegal.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And for those of you who only say bad things about President Trump, he passed a Farm Act in 2018, which challenges the ability for Puerto Rico, the territory,
To continue this.
first state,
Yeah.
to have cockfights. So,
Wait,
Right
so
on.
Puerto Rico is still doing cockfights? Or what?
Yeah, of course they are.
kind of.
And they
You can read about
love
it.
Jesus in Puerto Rico. They love Jesus.
Well, Jesus loves cockfighting, apparently.
In Puerto Rico, where's Maria? Bring me Maria.
And you can't have a cockfight on the 30th of December in the Philippines. It's illegal.
Nice.
Sorry, we got a little feedback there for a second. Sorry about that.
Who
So
has the next
what-
choice?
Yeah, what do we have
It's
next
me.
year?
Judy.
Next
Oh,
year.
wow.
Next week.
Did I say next
You
year?
guys- You did say next year. It might feel like that, maybe. No.
I know it's always so long. I have to wait a whole week to
like,
see you
wait.
guys again.
Yeah, but you get to watch a
Um,
really great 2003 South Korean horror film. It's called A Tale of Two Sisters. This is the description. Something strange is happening when Sumi and her younger sister, Soo Yeon, come home to their father's large but dark and somewhat foreboding house after a stay in the hospital. Their dad is taciturn and burdened, and their stepmother, Yoon-ju, greets them with forced enthusiasm and more than a little sense of irritation. But that's nothing compared to what happens when bedtime rolls around. Stylish and shocking, this visually arresting tale of family secrets and uncertain realities is based on a traditional Korean folktale.
Yeah, I was going to say, and this traditional Korean folktale has been adapted numerous times into other like media, and I think they made an American film based on this, like in.
I don't know. I don't know if I've seen that one.
I definitely haven't seen it. I just when I was researching it, I saw when I went down the
I
Wikipedia.
believe when I was there's a good trailer I had sent you guys. It's like the UK version. There's a Korean version that's I think tells you a little bit less than the UK version. But I did see it on YouTube. I think you can actually watch the movie for free. It's not one of those where they put like a minute and then like a website for the hour. I think you can actually watch the whole movie there. I haven't checked where the other ones are yet though.
Yeah,
But it's definitely a creepy
This
film.
also was the
Haven't seen
first.
it in a long time.
This is the first Korean film to be screened in American theaters at the release.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was a critical and a box office success, although it only made in America, it still only made $1 million against the $3 million budget. But that's still like that, considering this was the first
South
film.
Korean box.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. But but that was considered a success because I mean this was the
Yeah.
first film screened in the United States, and American critics and international critics alike sing its praises.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
It's definitely, from what I remember, because I have to rewatch it because I haven't watched it in a long time. I think I watched it more when it came out. It definitely caught me by surprise, and I'm very rarely surprised in things.
yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. I do like this. I do like Asian cinema because it doesn't really use a 3-act structure, and I just kind of appreciate that stuff. They just approach language in a whole other way. So that's cool. If there's a dubbed version, I'm watching that one.
You are like the ultimate gringo of our show.
Hey, man.
We're gonna call you Mr. Gringo.
Look,
or
I
just
got the
the-
Golden Girls.
Why-
as
we'll just
Mount
call you-
Rushmore.
Why would you watch a dubbed version?
Can we just call you the white man?
Don't, because it would be like the Godzilla movie. It would just be
Yeah,
terrible.
the Godzilla movie
The dub
sucked
one.
because it was dubbed.
Yeah,
I
the
don't
dubbing
like-
was
yeah.
terrible in that.
I don't like reading and seeing it at the same time. Okay, I don't
So watch
like
it
that.
twice.
You got to make sacrifices
Do
for
some
art.
work.
Yeah,
Do some
exactly.
heavy lifting, Sean.
Yeah,
I'm
I
on
think the other thing
vacation,
too.
man.
Oh wait, I'll get into it next week. I was going to
All
say
right.
Korean horror films are a little bit different than American horror.
Well, I'm excited for this one.
Yeah.
So we'll see you guys next week for The Tale of Two Sisters. Peace.
Peace.
Like and subscribe.